Thursday. Man, coaches retiring or getting fired left and right. Old coaches, right? 71-year-old Bill Belichick, 72-year-old Pete Carroll, 72-year-old Nick Saban. I said before the break, I don't think Belichick is going to do much to close out his career. I really don't care what team he lands for, except one, because I think there's some playoff coaches who are in jeopardy if they get blown out in their first game. The one that scares the hell out of me, Eagles. What if the Eagles are just like, nope, not good enough, and we've got the greatest coach in the history of football who can walk right into a team that's kind of ready-made for him in Belichick? That would scare me. Curtis Terry is up here on this Thursday. Curtis, you're a big NFL fan. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. I'm heartbroken that Pete Carroll's gone. It's going to be a change of the tide in Seattle for my Seahawks, so we'll see what happens.
What do you think is going to happen? First of all, why do you think Pete Carroll said, that's enough, and apparently he's not going to coach anywhere else. He's going to work in the organization. Do you really think that was his decision, or did they go to him and say, you know what, Pete, it's time to move on?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it sounded like he had, the day before he had said he made a statement and he was trying to make it clear that he still had some life left in him and wanted to coach another season. But I guess those kind of decisions were made a little higher up than he gets to have the say in it. And it sounds like they wanted to make a change. It probably was one of those things like if we let him keep going now, how long do we let him keep going? Or do we have our eye on somebody that we want to get in here now and try to get things going in a different direction while we still have some guys under contract? We still have some opportunity to do some things. So nonetheless, he got us the Super Bowl, so we'll be thankful for that.
So, yeah, you should be. These things are hard to win. Curtis Terry's with us, Washington, Seattle area guy, played for the Rebels, is co-host of the Kevin Kruger radio show, former Rebel as well. I've seen all these tributes and, player tributes to Saban and Belichick. I don't know that we're going to have a chance to get anyone on who's going to, wax poetic about Pete Carroll. Just watching Carroll as a fan, but also as an athlete who knows a lot about coaching. You played for a bunch of coaches. Like, to you, what made Pete Carroll special?
I think it was just how he interacted with his players. I mean, obviously, what he did at USC was special. He was able to motivate that program and take them to new heights and win national championship and give guys Heisman trophies. But when he came to Seattle, obviously the Seahawks were kind of down on our luck. But it seemed like he made it competitive. It's always hard to motivate professional athletes because they're paid so handsomely. But he was able to motivate those guys for competition Wednesdays, and just brought a life to him that was obviously younger than his age, but he had a way to get them motivated, and then he just had a way to connect with the city, and the things that they did was amazing. Going to 2 Super Bowls, winning one, probably should have won that second one if we give the ball to beast mode. But it was great to be able to have an identity with the Legion of Boom, with Dangerous, and just with where we are now. It's fun. It's obviously a changing of the tide, but still thankful because all those guys and fans from up in the Seattle area, we are diehard Seahawks fans, so we're going to be thankful for what we got and look forward to the future.
Yeah, speaking of that, the other side of all of these moves, right, Curtis, is the future. How do you feel about this moving forward? Because as we know, changes like this can lead to some downtimes if you don't make the right decisions.
Yeah, that's just the scary part, right? I mean, obviously what Geno Smith did and came in and the way his contract is structured, it puts you in a position for that new coach to come in and to kind of commit to it, or do you want to move off of it? I think Geno Smith has done a great job in terms of picking up and leading this offense. Obviously, the defense is strong. We had some great selections last year in the draft, and some guys performing at a really high rate. And then offensively, obviously, we've got some guys on the outside that can get down the field and make big plays. So I think we're in a good spot, but that's when your GM and your new coach, where that's going to be, they've got to make those moves and put together the right pieces to kind of fit the scheme and what they're trying to accomplish. But I think it's hard, especially in football, because you've got to get so many guys and then try to turn that thing around in such a short amount of time. But hopefully, and we'll get it done and we can get back to the playoffs.
So outside of the Chargers, who have their quarterback, Herbert, if I was a fan of a team that has an opening right now, as a Seahawks fan, I'd be pretty excited, because here's the thing. It wasn't a complete blowout. Your GM is good. He's got a proven track record. And I think he's going to make a good decision on hiring a coach. I would be optimistic. Now, here's the thing. Do you want an offensive coach? Do you want a defensive coach? You could go with the young route with Shane Waldron, who's part of the staff. You could go with the experience route like Vrabel. You could go experience/college route and make a real run at Harbaugh. Or you could go defensive route, and I think he'll be a good head coach again. I think he was underrated as the Falcons head coach, Dan Quinn. What do you want?
I just want a coach that's going to come in and win, honestly. It's that situation, I think, where we're used to having that kind of defensive focus with the Legion of Boom and what we've done defensively. Obviously, at times the offense was hit or miss at times. Obviously, it was focused by running the ball and play action and getting guys down the field. But I think the fans of Seattle and Seahawks fans are used to having that defense be kind of the leader of the group and making plays and trying to get people fired up in the stadium. But I think, honestly, everybody just wants somebody that's going to come in and win and get that right mentality and keep things going that Pete and his staff are able to do. So it'll probably be a nerve-wracking time until we get a coach, but nonetheless, it's always a good day to be a Seahawks fan.
Curtis, I want to play a little sound for you before I ask my next question.
Caleb backing in. Caleb turns on the baseline, steps through it, lays it in. He is taking Nelly Jr. Joseph to school.
Oh, boy.
How impressive was Caleb Boone's performance in that game against New Mexico? Because you were clearly enjoying it.
Yeah, man. I mean, Caleb he's so talented, and what he did in that game offensively. And we talked about this at Kevin's coach show. We talked about this on the broadcast, but he's thin, but he's strong. But he's able to have such good balance. He's never off balance. He can step through, up and under, and always finds a way to be able to put the ball in the basket. And when he did that in that game against New Mexico, and then also what he did against Creighton, the guy's got immense skills and it's just oozing potential. But I think it's a big part of what the Rebels are doing by being able to throw the ball inside and play inside out. And when he's cooking like that, you got to keep giving it to him.
And how good is that Boone twin connection? Because I think that Keelan, when he was declared eligible, I think that's when the team really took a shift.
Yeah, man, it's just another dimension because obviously what Caleb can do on the inside and make guys have to double or have to dig in on him, but then also be able to kick it out to his brother. And Keelan, obviously, the other day, knocked down 5 of 11 threes, stretches the floor, opens things up for the driving lanes. It's just a nice compliment to be able to have two guys at the same size are polar opposites of each other in terms of what they do on both ends of the ball. So I think the Rebels, obviously, they hit the gold and find two guys that are just going to fit this team well, and hopefully they can build all this momentum of what they did against New Mexico.
So I'm interested in your evaluation of their mentality too, because especially for Keelan Curtis, like watching in that New Mexico game, like the short memory of like, oh yeah, this 3 was off. Guess what? I'm pulling the trigger again, and it does not matter. I think it's really impressive how aggressive they are, and it does not matter how the last shot looked. I am going to take this shot if I believe it is open.
I can respect that. That's the kind of guy I was. I mean, hey, I'm stepping across half court. If I think I can see the basket, I'm going to shoot it. So I respect the fact that he's got that mentality. Obviously, by kind of being that ballsy, he can get you in trouble at times. And Kevin mentioned that at the radio show last night. He's like, let's be real. The first 3 were bad shots, terrible shots. We don't want to take those. But I think because we don't have a guy that has that kind of confidence and knows that, hey, I might have missed that one, but I'm going to step up and be able to knock down the next one. That's the kind of guys you have to have on your team, the guys you want to have shooting the ball for your team. Because you know what, guys are going to be hesitant, and there's no hesitancy in him when he gets the ball from the outside. But I like what he does because he also mixes it up, but also can get to the basket and obviously rebounds very well at his size as well, coming from the wing.
This conference is so weird. Like, I think the New Mexico win is a good win, but like, let's use UNLV as an example. It just seems like with certain programs, they just haven't matched up well. They always match up well with New Mexico. And I think part of that is because Jalen House, and I pointed it out. I like the kid. He's really fun to watch, but he can be a knucklehead, and he gets over emotional. We know San Diego State has been just a bear to beat. Right now, Nevada can't figure it out against UNLV. The game is against Utah State, though. That's a game coming up. Up there, have not been good, and last year was a freaking joke because they got a bullcrap call late against them with Keyshawn Hall. Some acting, a 260 or 40-pound big man acted like he had been hit by a bulldozer, and Hall got called for a charge. But when you think of Utah State, like the hallmarks of the program, what are they? And now what are they? Because they had an entirely new team and a new coach.
I think that's the biggest kind of question mark in terms of what they got in conference. You're not quite sure. Obviously, you can watch their game film and kind of see what they do, but they've got some bigs that are very skilled on the inside. They've got guys on the wings that can knock down shots. They've got guys that can play off the balance. And so it's one of those things where you get a new group or new coach. From their standpoint, they're excited about it. It might be some growing pains. On the flip side of it, for the team that's coming in to play them, you're not quite sure what you're going to see. So you're maybe not going to be as aggressive or kind of know how you want the game to look because you don't know how it's going to be counteracted, as opposed to you're playing San Diego State, you know what you're going to get out of them night in and night out. It's been the same for the last 20 years. And so I think that's where that slippery slope comes in. But I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the Rebels got to do a good job on the glass. They're going to have to make sure that they fight on the inside because that's where the Aggies going to have their advantage. Definitely going to be on the inside.
I know it's only 2 games, but DJ Thomas is averaging 38 minutes per game in conference play. Do you think he's going to be able to sustain that with all the rough guard play that we see in the Mountain West Conference?
He's going to have to. He's going to have to. I mean, obviously, you want to be able to limit his minutes. You don't want him to have to carry those all the way through the entire conference season, and he already did that in the non-conference as well. But he's going to have to lead this team, and obviously the plus minuses. And JVT can tell us, I mean, what he does in terms of just the analytics. He's best. They're the best when he's on the floor, so they're going to have to keep him on the floor, keep the ball in his hands. But across the board, they're playing really well as a group right now. They got guys knocking down shots. Obviously, Caleb's playing on the inside, and the spirited effort that they had the other night, if they can keep that up, they can really make some noise in the Mountain West Conference.
Curtis, good spot. We'll see you on Saturday, and Runnin Rebel warm-up starts up at 11:30. Earlier start, noon, so make sure you get all fed in the morning with breakfast, and I'll see you at the arena.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys soon.
There he is. CT, former Rebel, part of the broadcast team. This is a big game coming up on Saturday.
Yes.
They're all big because they really have to have a great slate in the conference. But Utah State comes in 15-1. They're kind of a team of mystery. But I'll tell you, I'll give you a key right now. Their best big, Great Osobor, 6'8", 250, is averaging 18.5 and 9.5. This is a conference that has a lot of good post players. It is important that Caleb Boone is a post target and is dangerous every game the rest of the way. Because what UNLV has to do here is really take advantage of the fact that Boone can be a foul-producing machine the other way because he's so quirky in the post. He's pivoting, he's pivoting, he's pivoting. Arms are all over the place. And you know what happens? When you get caught in that cycle, when you're a fellow big, what do you start doing? You're just like, you just start slapping. He can draw a lot of fouls, but he's got to be there every game, and it is massive to go at. Great. That's his name. And get him off the floor with foul trouble.
Oh, absolutely. Because guess what? You know what Utah State does really well themselves? Gets you into foul trouble. Top 30